Hello, we're speaking today from MAQUE's Institute for German Culture, and today we have a special talk planned from one of our brightest and best students here, Ms. Carmen Benítez. She's a certified B2 English speaker, although in my opinion, she can speak much better than this, and she's a pleasure to teach, and as we said, one of our finest students. Today, she's going to be speaking about a particularly fascinating subject, which maybe you might not know about, that is colour theory. I would just, before Carmen speaks and I hand over to her, though, I would like to say a few words about her. She won the first prize in a provincial formal debate held in Jaén in 2023. She attends school in Madre del Divino Pastor in Andújar. And now I'll hand over to Carmen and you can tell us all about colour theory. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well,
Color theory is a guide about how to use color in visual media. All kinds of artists, photographers, directors, painters, or even animators should know about the basis of color theory and color psychology to improve how their works look. The most useful concept, in my opinion, is how to create harmonies. Harmonies are color combinations that work together in order to create a visual balance. Some of the ways to create harmonies are monochromatic colors, which are based in using one color only, like a palette of red or yellow colors. Analogous colors, this is about using colors that are close to each other in the color wheel. For example, combining green, teal, and blue, or yellow, orange, and red. These colors seem similar to us when we look at them, but this actually has a base in color theory and in the color wheel. Complementary colors are the most used in character design. Two colors complement each other when they are opposite to each other in the color wheel. Using the same amount of both of them in an artwork creates contrast, but reducing one of them to only a little spot in the image makes a great kind of outputting image. For example, a kind of confusing one, and it makes always artwork look good. Examples of complementary colors are blue and yellow, or red and green. It can slightly change depending on the color wheel that you are using. Split complementary, it's about using an analogous color of the left and the other from the right from two complementary colors. And lastly, a triad is about choosing three colors as far from each other as possible, creating a color triangle in the wheel. Now I'm going to give some examples of color theory based in and used in character design. Complementary colors in character design are used constantly, and usually they are also used in movie posters. One popular example will be Patrick the Star from SpongeBob. His skin is pink and his only item of clothing is green, but this combination is also used in character duos. Again, using green and pink, like Cosmo and Wanda, that the most popular example could be also Mario and Luigi. Triad. It's used everywhere, even if you can see it. Mario has three colors in his costume: blue, yellow, and red. Besides the fact that these three aren't primary colors, as people think it's the best triad to catch the viewer's attention through color. Primary colors. This section is really important actually because it depends of which medium you are using for your artwork. Before continuing, I think it's necessary to know about color bases, how colors work, and what are the primary colors. It depends. Color basic concepts are value, hue, and saturation. Value is what makes colors different. It's the thing that differentiates reds from blue or purple. Hue or illumination is the difference between light and dark. When you want to make a shadow, people usually make just a color a little bit darker. And saturation. A color is saturated when it's far from the gray. The brighter the color is, the more saturated and pure. As I said, primary colors depends on the context where you're talking, but the main concept is that with the three primary colors, we have to be able to create any other color, only of white, only with of the sorry, only with the addition of white or black. RGB. In technology, pixels and screens, the primary colors are red, green, and blue. These are also the three photoreceptors that we have in our eyes. Mixing the information of those colors, we can see an enormous variety. There are animals which have more photoreceptors, so they can see even more color than us, and even colors that we won't be able to see ever in our lives. CMYK. When you are painting mixing RGB won't make you own all the colors imaginable. So in traditional art, the primary colors are cyan, magenta, and yellow, instead of red, that most people think is one of the primary colors. Red can be created using magenta, but magenta can't be created using red. That's why magenta is a primary color and red isn't. No, color psychology is related to this topic, but it's not exactly the same. This is used often in movies to create different emotions in viewers. It is important as color theory because the same image colored in a different way provides extremely different emotions. Obviously, sadness is associated with black or blue. Green is associated with peace and nature. Red is related to hate and love. But we'll go one step further. Because a color combined with black becomes its opposite. For example, red is a really intense color. It's so eye-catching because it has the biggest wavelength. That's a physics concept that we are not going to talk about. The important thing it comes to using it in arts is that it is strongly related to strong emotions, not only anger but passion or love too. Combined with black, it's more violent and bloody because violence is really extreme and really passionate, but also is the color of blood and is the color of death. Orange is usually ignored and not taken too seriously because it isn't as strong as red or yellow. Usually we relate orange to sunsets and peace, or maybe only like lonely spaces like desert when it's combined with black. Yellow has so many different ways to be represented. It can convey image opposite in its meanings, can be used as sun, happiness, light, money, but it also toxic and extremely toxic and dangerous in a way that it's almost scary. The Netflix show Dahmer has a yellow filter over it to communicate that something is off about the situation. Green is similar to yellow. It's associated with nature, and a lot of fast food brands changed its image, like McDonald's, from red to green, so you could think that they are more natural and healthy, and also to be seen as eco-friendly. But green is also evil in a more cartoony way than yellow. Most villains, like Scar, have a lot of scenes surrounded by a greenish environment. Combined with red, it gives an unbalanced impression, like a suspense situation. Blue is ocean, calm, truth, and deep. But that deepness can be a deep depression and a feeling of loneliness. I feel it like an immense color, but it's almost obvious, so I won't explain it too much. Pink is the best example of what I meant by a color combined with black becomes its opposite. Pink is an innocent, girly, and soft color. It is like that passion that red is associated with, but softened in a pure and childlike feeling. Combined with black, it is used a lot in punk culture to express a rebellious and empowered image. Now, I'm going to give some examples of colors combined in some kind of medias, so you can keep in mind what I'm saying when you see a movie or a show or a TV show. In cinema, it's common to use color theory and color psychology to explain a character's personality as producing emotions in the viewers. Most villains from cartoons tend to use a green and purple color scheme, as I said before, giving the character a mischievous look. A good example is Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty, or Joker from the Batman series. Combining the magic and mysterious look of purple with green's toxicity. Main characters tend to have brighter and eye-catching colors than other characters. Main characters often use triads, as I said before, like for example in Mario. Horror, it's really interesting actually, because if you want to provide a scary and confusing image, for example, in Money Heist or La Casa de Papel, in Spanish, combines red and green. Complementary colors used in the same quantity makes balance, but a fiery green scenario with red spots, like their costumes, makes a disbalance that disconcerts people. It can be used to catch the sight of the public to the most important part as well, like the bright yellow dress of female main character in La La Land, like in that scene when they are dancing in front of the dark blue sky. But we're talking right now about horror. Anyway, in comedy, bright colors are obviously going to be present. And in children's movies, the saturated colors like grayish, green, or yellow creates an off-putting image. Some movies play with colors and expectations. One example could be in the Corpse Bride movie. The mortal world was full of dark gray colors, and the hell or afterlife is composed a lot of neon and bright colors. Viewers wouldn't expect something like that. Movies try to surprise the viewers. That's why some horror characters are dressed up in pure white or rainbow colors, like Chucky or Pennywise. In Arcane, a recent Netflix animated show, characters coming from the good side dressed in clear light colors and gold can actually be the enemy. The show always points out that nothing is pure black or white, and we should be conscious of the gray scale in between. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much for that, Carmen. That was a really illuminating and fascinating discussion. I would, we'll just have a, see if anybody wants to ask any questions, and then I have a question for you too after. So does anybody have any questions for Carmen? Yes, yes, Andres, you like to ask?
Yeah, thank you very much, Carmen, for your talk. And we are all very impressed by the quality, not only of your English, but also of your paper, which I have to say to emphasize is a paper you wrote yourself. So you have been doing this in the last weeks. Thank you very much for for your efforts and for the result of your efforts, which was really very impressive, as I told you. Well, I lack any kind of expertise in this subject, is pretty clear, but let me ask you a question, which is the following one. Which color wheel is the most accurate according to you?
Color wheels are different depending on what you are going to do. But for example, if you're an illustrator, you should use CMYK color wheel because when you paint in a screen, like if you're a digital artist, then when you print your drawings or illustrations, it could change the color. So if you want to avoid that, the best system of color wheel to use is CMYK.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your
Yeah, but maybe I had a second question. Well, one would say that it would be possible to speak in a sense of the power of colors, no? Because you would be able maybe to use these features of colors in psychology, you think, or even in politics. Do you think, would it be possible to speak about the power of colors in this sense?
That's actually a really good question, and I'm so grateful that you asked that. Because in politics, they do use color theory, even if we don't notice. They use a lot the clothes they are using to make some kind of image. And obviously, the color of clothing also is important for them. For example, the president of Spain at an interview, like really unusual talk with some interviewers that were like Gen Z people, like 20 years old. So he used a bright pink t-shirt in that interview because, as I said, pink is more like a childish and soft color. So he wanted to be close to the viewers and to Spain people by looking that childish. So also for mental health, it's also important. Some psychologists recommend you to paint your house in light colors, or maybe if you want some place of your house to look smaller, so it's more, you know, so it's better and more comfy, then you should paint it of a darker color one of the walls, not all of them. And if you want it to be more spacious, then you should paint it fully white, or better, a better color would be yellow, actually. So yeah, it's really important. It's really important, and it's present in our lives even if we don't notice.
No, thank you, thank you.
Okay, I'll just ask you my question, Carmen. So in which, it's sort of related to what the last thing that Andres asked you, but in which particular medium are you most fascinated and interested in colour theory?
I talk a lot about cinema because it's true that, in my opinion, I like to study TV series and movies, color theory, and all the color decisions that are behind the scenes, because there is really an intention there, and I like to analyze that. But I think that in cartoon or animes, it's actually more interesting because they tend to be more obvious and more childish. Then they try to use a lot color theory, for example, in the movie of Inside Out, where they use a lot of color psychology, and people watch their emotions just as the color they thought they should be, because because color psychology depends a little bit of our culture. So yeah, everyone expects something from cartoons. For example, well, SpongeBob is fully yellow, and he's like so, and he has a lot of energy, and his happiness and light and sun. So I think cartoons is the most fascinating media where you could analyze color theory.
Thank you, that's my question. Thank you. So this, we'll bring this to a close, and I'd just like to thank you again, Carmen, for, yes, it was a fantastic talk. Thank you very much.